Our pleasure to welcome in his regular Wednesday visit. The Hall of Famer Bob Knight is with us with Selection Sunday, believe it or not, right around the corner, as tomorrow is the 1st of March. And, Coach, we have a great one coming up Saturday night on ESPN. Duke and North Carolina, after those teams played an unbelievable game that we remember Duke pulling out on the last-second shot by Austin Rivers in Chapel Hill. So now Carolina going in there Saturday night in search of a little revenge against your guy, Coach K and company. What are your thoughts overall on that rivalry? Dickie V always tells us he thinks it's the best rivalry in all of sports.
Well, I think that he goes a little bit too far with that one, maybe, but it's a great rivalry, and I think that the teams have been good, the coaches have been good. They've gone a long way. Both teams have. Both teams have won national championships, so it has to be one of the really big events of the year for college basketball fans when they get to see them play each other.
Saturday night, of course, you'll see that game on ESPN. As of right now, according to Joe Lunardi, with their win last night and Michigan State's loss, Duke would be in line for a number one seed in the tournament. In your experience, Coach, how significant is that to be a number one seed?
I don't think it makes an ounce of difference, Greeny. I think that you get there, you have to play well no matter what your seed is. And whether it's first seed or eighth seed or what it is, you've got to play well. You've got to have the ability in a team to play against different things. They've got to be tough kids. It's just that whole seeding procedure is just the I don't even know if you could call it the icing on the cake. I think it might be no more than the cardboard box the cake comes in.
That's well put. Mike and Bob Knight looking at another team that'll probably be a number one seed is Syracuse, and a coach you obviously know for years in Boeheim. You beat him in a national championship game once upon a time. I've heard people say this is the best team, lately starting to say this is the best team he's ever had. As you've watched them play right now, what would be your thoughts on that? Is this as good a team as you can remember him having up there?
Well, they are good. I don't know that it's the best team. That's pretty hard to. What criteria do you use to judge that with, Mike? You know, you'd have to have those teams play against each other, which is obviously impossible. But it's a very good team. However, the one time I've seen them play this year was at Syracuse playing Georgetown, and the game, I think, went into overtime, and Georgetown had an opportunity to beat them 2 or 3 different times. So they're not an infallible basketball team, and yet I think they probably are as well equipped and do things as well as any team in the country does.
We're getting close, and as you know, Coach, Mike and I have this annual wager against each other here, and the stakes this year, which we'll announce soon, are going to be the biggest that we've ever done. I need to win, so I need some advice here. As I'm looking at tournament teams, you won 3 national championships. How would you define the characteristic that all the championship teams share? I can't figure out if it's I'm looking for seniors, am I looking for a big man, am I looking for a backcourt? What is it that a championship team has to have in college basketball?
Well, the first thing it has to have is good players. And secondly, when you're talking about a team, it's got to be a team that can play against various defenses. It can play against the press. It can play against man-to-man defense. It can play against zone defense. It's a team that can rebound. It's not a team that's going to get beaten badly on the backboards. And then maybe most important of all, it's a team that offensively gets the most out of possessions. They draw the foul. They get to the basket. They shoot the ball well. They can play at the offensive end without turnovers. And I think that may be as big a factor, at least it's as big a factor offensively, the absence of turnovers as anything could possibly be. Then maybe the most important factor of all is that it's a team that doesn't give up points easily. It's a team that's a difficult team to score a lot of points against.
So is there one or two you've seen this season, understanding that such crazy things can happen in March, but is there a team or two you've seen this season that you say, oh, yes, they meet all of those characteristics?
Well, you've mentioned Syracuse, and I think Syracuse is perhaps as well equipped as anybody. The thing that I like most about Syracuse is that they don't give up a lot of points. I think if you look at any of the other good teams, and there are several, but each of them at times has given up a lot of points in a game, and I don't think that has been something Syracuse has done at all during the course of the year. If you've given up points or you've had some close games along the way, I always look at how well has a team done against relatively ordinary competition. And if out of ordinary competition, a couple of teams have come to give this so-called highly ranked team a lot of problems, then maybe that team isn't quite as good as looking at another team that may not win games as spectacularly, but it doesn't lose games and it doesn't get beat, or it's not threatened by teams of a much lower caliber.
I like Syracuse a lot. Bob Knight with us every Wednesday leading up to Selection Sunday and all through the NCAA tournament. Thank you, Coach.
Okay, Mike, thank you. Take care.
There's Bob Knight with us every week here on Mike and Mike, and he joins us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Subway is thanking fans by giving away thousands of prizes with footlong Nation appreciation. And I tell you, I will certainly be watching Saturday night. The coverage starts 7 o'clock Eastern Time Saturday, 6 Central on ESPN for Duke and Carolina at Cameron. If you watched that game, whatever it was, 2.5 weeks ago, maybe more than that, whenever it was, they played in Chapel Hill, when Doc Sun knocks down that shot at the very end over Zeller to give Duke that crazy win on the road. Carolina's going to come in there hot Saturday night.
Yeah, and like Coach Knight said, it's going to come down to stops at the end of the game. I mean, who can play some defense at the end? That too generally wins.
Be fun to watch. Ron Jaworski jumps in next. We're Mike and Mike, and we're back in 3.